We got to give good businesses an opportunity to do their thing here in town. And any business that's willing to go through what these guys have gone through, maybe they got to phase this project in now because we've bled them dry, okay? Like we've done other businesses. I remember the soccer fields guy standing out in the hall and saying, I give up. I'm $134,000 in the hole and I can't get past the zoning board. I'm done. This is the way it is. Howell's got a reputation as anti-business. We've only got a few roads we can build on. Nobody wants to build in the center of town, and I don't blame them. Nobody does. It's a beautiful town to drive through. But you got to go around the fringes. And if you're going to knock down projects like this, then be prepared for the aftermath that comes when the shortfalls come and the furloughs turn into permanent dismissals and services are completely scuttled. That's what we're heading for. It's not magic. It's simple math. And you all know it. And you're getting taunted on bulletin boards right now. These people won't vote on this. It's an election. They're not going to do it. I'm betting you guys got the cojones to see this through. And I hope you're going to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Krebs. Mr. Maga, wait till it's your turn, please. Amy Frankhauser.
Amy Fankhauser, 51 Richard Road. First of all, I wanted to thank you for keeping your promise to not approve the $2 million appropriation on the Southern School until you had written approvals from the state and a lease in place. And moving on to the MAC project, I want to echo what the previous speakers have said, except for the gentleman immediately before me, and add to that what appears to be happening is, Ms. Dalton, just as you suggested at a previous council meeting, it's like when your child asks you permission for something and you say no, and your child goes off to daddy and asks daddy for permission. Now, daddy should be supporting your decision, especially if that decision was based on sound parenting practices and something that you had previously discussed. So in case anyone is wondering, the daddy in this analogy is the council.
We've never discussed it with the planning or zoning board.
Yeah, we've never discussed it with the planning or zoning board, please.
But you have a master plan in place which is maintained and reviewed by your planning board. Who appoints your planning board people? Is that not?
Different administrations through different times. Some are us, but we give them zero input except when the liaison.
Because that's a function that's been delegated to them as presumably experts to whatever degree in that area. And
hold on. They're everyday citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the people we've appointed to the planning board were not experts. Many of the people we've appointed to the planning board did their homework, but they were everyday citizens who had never served on a board before. So, do I believe they've done their job to the best of their ability? That answer is yes. Okay? The same as us as a governing body. We're not professional politicians that have been politicians for 20, 25 years. Okay? Our planning board and our zoning board, we're all representatives of the people. Okay? We all do the best we can. We are all fallible. Okay? I never knew there wasn't a recreation component in our master plan. Okay? I would think that anybody in general would say that's a fault that there was no recreational component like that to be built in the master plan. I'm not saying Mac Athletic Center. I'm saying that there was no place to build recreational facilities in the master plan. It's a fault. Okay? And I think any of us would say that. If I had told you a recreation facility couldn't be built anywhere, it's not approved anywhere in our master plan, that it would need a variance, I think we would all say, there's something wrong with that. So that's part of what we're rectifying here. Yes, is Mac Athletic Center the igniter of this? Yes, it is. Okay? Yes, it is, so. But as far as, I believe our planning board does things to the best of their ability, okay? The governing body does things to the best of their ability. I don't want you all to think I'm a 30-year professional mayor. I've been up here for 10 months, and I do the best I can to represent the citizens of Howell every day. You want to call me an expert, I'd be flattered, but I didn't know if I would label it as a true statement, okay? So,
I have to frankly admit that, a lot of what you just said, while it may be truthful and candid and honest, it's troubling to me. Because on the one hand, you're saying that we have these, our planning board officials, our zoning board officials, the people that have been entrusted to educate themselves, to do the best of their ability. If they're not doing things to the best of their ability, I presume that there's some way of removing or replacing, if the community feels that's necessary. That hasn't occurred. And we have experts for a reason. We defer to them. Their recommendations, the land use laws are written the way that they're written. The zoning laws are written the way that they're written, and there are provisions in place if the system is not, if the system's breaking down, if it's not operating the way that it should be. So I feel on the one hand that we're giving them a pat on the back and a slap in the face at the same time. So I'm just troubled by that. I'm going to make my comments.
Okay, go ahead.
And, I'm going to say what I say.
no problem.
And because I do see this as setting a very bad message and being a bad precedent, because it's basically saying to our developers, if you can't get something through the front door, then you can come this alternate route through the back door. Personally, I would have preferred to have seen our bodies, whether it be boards or our council, taking a look, reviewing, our professionals over here, reviewing our land use laws, our zoning. And again, I don't know your municipal law very well, but to have it come from this body as opposed to, a 2-year plus process where this person purchased the land in full knowledge of what the approved uses were for the property, you do something like that at your peril. And when you go through proper channels and make your applications and you're denied by your board and the courts uphold it, no means no. At some point, no means no. And now to try and circumvent and come to this body, if this body is going to do that, it should be doing it on its own, not in the context of a reactionary Monday morning quarterback situation to this project. I think the process is really bad, and that's the problem that I have with this. As I was saying, I think no means no. We should have taken no from the zoning and the planning boards, and because what I feel is happening here is that we are setting a precedent for how developers figure that they can skirt around our boards and our governing body and how they can dictate how our community grows. I'd like to see integrity in the process. I feel if there's integrity in the process, then you're going to have integrity in the outcome, and the reverse is true. And that's my point. And if you believe the same way, I think you will vote against this ordinance. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, it's my voice and the mic, so I apologize. Ms. Franken just brought up the fact that she is concerned over the integrity of the process. And am I not correct that the process is followed and the law provides that at this particular point, Matt can come to us and deal with this? There's, in terms of the concern over the integrity of the process, I can tell you from all I've read and all I've seen, the integrity has certainly been followed, and the law has been followed. And just to point out Judge Lawson's decision, I've read it a number of times. Judge Lawson, in any appellate division, any court, and it's an appealing court, although he's not the appellate division, says that, yes, the process that was followed was correct. He is not making ultimately the decision whether the project should or should not be granted. So I just, when things are being brought up